Hi, y'all. Happy New Year. It's been a hot second since we had a live stream over here on YouTube. I missed y'all. How are y'all doing? I hope you got some rest and relaxation and were able to, spend some time with friends and family. We are back in the new year. Let me know if y'all can hear me. I just realized I did not, because it's been a second over here, update the audio. Okay, should sound better now. All right. Hey, Jace. Hey, Crown by K. See, some of y'all was early. Hey, Type Effectiveness. Hey, Robin. I missed y'all. So I have some promises and some New Year's intentions to make with y'all about how often we're going to have a live stream. Because we haven't been having so many of them over here on YouTube. So we'll get into that. But we have been on Patreon. So before we get into that, here's our agenda for today. We're going to be talking about, we're going to go through Kevin Hart's lawsuit against Tasha K and his former personal assistant. Which, as somebody who will neither confirm nor deny if I've ever received severance, I don't know why you would jeopardize your severance in that way. It's interesting. So we're going to get into that. We're going to go through the NDA, and we're going to go through why getting your friend who you cannot confirm nor deny has graduated law school to advise you on your NDA is a bad idea, preferably. All right, and then we're going to get into the cease and desist, because the cease and desist was a little petty after it got out of the form section, and I thought it was a little funny. Y'all know I like a little bit of a petty vocal lawyer. All right. Exactly. So I would like to know from the beginning of this, I would never really take Kevin Hart's side against anything. This is more of, I think, an interesting use case of what's going on currently. And as we saw in the Cardi B and Tasha K lawsuit, which turned into a full trial, which turned into what is currently going on, alleged bankruptcy filings of the new landscape of social media and what happens when people have no consequences. All right, so let's get into it. So first, a huge shout out and thank you to Patreon, especially the Sancier tier, Allison A, Allison W, David, Edguy, Juanita, Judy, and Robert. And last month, we didn't have a lot of YouTube content, but I was over on Patreon. We had 5, I think, Patreon videos last month in December. So if I'm not on here, that's where I was. So I wasn't fully missing. YouTube and I were in an extended argument. And I left that in 2023. So here we are. We're back here and we'll just be on both. But in case you're wondering what was over there, Julesy and I did a video on capitalism and the Carters, which is very interesting. We might be doing a truncated public version of that, which will be a little bit different. But we had an extensive live stream over there. And then I had a live stream with therapist Umu about radical mental health. They were wonderful, very informative. And then Halise and I, it was the month of collabs. So then Halise and I had a creator economy money behind the scenes candid chat, if you're curious about that. And then Julesy, Justin, and I, capitalism and dating, I think was like November. In December, we had a motherhood conversation. Julesy being a new mom, me being on the maybe, and then Justin having some thoughts as well. So if you're curious, that was over there. So we will get right into it. Thank you, Jace. I came here to show off my tan, child. My Caribbean self went home to the Caribbean and came back to New York. And apparently it's going to blizzard this weekend, which is unnecessary. So, yes. Oh, thank you, Naya. I'm going to be on both. So in case your New Year's resolution is to save some coins, it's okay. Don't feel bad. I'll be on here. I will be on here. So let's get into the claims and the statutes. All right, so this complaint, I think for the first time, we will be covering civil extortion. I don't believe in this will be year 4, which is crazy. 4 years of this channel that we've ever covered extortion, which that is a claim. We're going to cover breach of contract, which we've covered a few times. I'm going to make this bigger because I cannot see. Y'all know that has not changed in 2024. Breach of contract, intentional interference with contractual relations, which we have covered, invasion of privacy, public disclosure of private facts, which we've covered, and defamation. And defamation we've covered so many times that I think that y'all are very familiar with it. One of the interesting things about defamation, particularly in this case, absolute defense of defamation is always the truth. And some of the things that were allegedly said, I'm not exactly sure how defamatory they are. So this is quite interesting. This was a bit of an interesting case. So, and since there are multiple people being sued, it is Tasha K, it is her company, it is the Kevin Hart's former assistant as well. They're being sued for different things. So we're going to go through that. All right. We need to talk about this. Side note, did you watch Black Cake on Hulu? I have a personal gripe to pick with Black Cake on Hulu. A personal, deep-seated gripe. I think I got to episode 5, and then it pissed me all the way off. The bad accents pissed me off from the beginning. The bad fake dreads then continued to piss me off. And then the plot line. I was like, what Caribbean family acts like this? And also, since we get no Caribbean representation on TV, why are we centering this one? I have thoughts. I have thoughts on that, and we will talk about that probably. We'll talk about that probably in the new year. Maybe Princess and I can talk about it since she covers TV and film. All right. So we're going to do this a bit backwards. We're going to start with claim number 2, which is loose lips lose severance. So, as a direct and proximate cause of Shakes, that is the last name of Kevin Hart's former personal assistant, material breach of the NDA. That is the allegation that she breached her NDA, which is the contract in question. So, the breach of contract is just against her since she's the only party to the NDA, along with Kevin Hart's production company. Plaintiffs have suffered damages, including without limitation, in the principal sum of $90,000 that Hart paid as consideration under the NDA, in addition to further damages in an amount according to proof at trial. Do I think this is going to get to trial? Probably not. I think this is more so to prove a point. If you are hiring somebody that will have so much access to your personal information, such as a personal assistant, you want to make sure that they don't want to throw their career away for 5 minutes on Tasha K. Because that, I just don't know what the plan was. Because I'm assuming that she does not want to be a personal assistant ever again. I hope another career path is set up. All right. So these are the alleged background facts. Some of them are verifiable on YouTube as well. So in and around November 2023, Kebe, which is Tasha K's last name, that's the K, conducted and recorded an interview, the interview with Shakes, wherein Shakes made various statements regarding Hart, his family, and Heartbeat personnel and or employees of other Hart-affiliated entities. Notwithstanding the truth or falsity of such statements, Shakes would only have had knowledge regarding such subjects as a result of her employment with Hart and Heartbeat. One of the alleged statements that the former personal assistant made was that he was cheating on his wife. Spoiler alert, no shade, but that is not confidential information. That is very much public information. So how you're going to then sue for defamation specifically under that is a little misguided. Breach of contract, yes. Yes, for sure. That is not something he does a good job at keeping secret. And maybe he should just stop doing it, but that's not our business. Such information necessarily would have constituted confidential information as defined by the NDA, such as information regarding alleged personal relationships. Child, did we read that? Yep, we read that. Oh no, they just repeated it twice. This is very interesting. He did. He has entire specials dedicated to, in my opinion, embarrassing that woman, which is a separate conversation. Also, I feel bad because likely she's also Caribbean, and Caribbean men, second family is a thing. Unfortunately, that is cultural. To then have somebody put second family in your face all day, every day, but also, their backstory is a mess. It's very, very messy. All of this is peak mess. During the interview, Kebe asked Shakes whether she, or it might be Kibi, we'll just say Tasha K, because I want to make sure I pronounce it properly. Tasha K asked Shakes whether she was subject to any non-disclosure agreements, which would have prohibited her from disclosing the type of information that was the subject of the interview. Because Tasha K's channel is a very interesting channel that has been sued numerous times, most famously all the way to trial with Cardi B, which we covered. And the whole purpose of the channel is to get illicit personal information out of either assistants, alleged close friends, and in the case of Cardi B, as it was found in court, to maliciously align somebody to get views. Shakes acknowledged that she and plaintiffs were in fact party to the NDA, but claimed that the agreement had unspecified and, quote, loopholes that she apparently contended would enable her to escape the consequences of her brazenly violating her promises to plaintiffs and the NDA and confidentiality arrangement terms. Now, listen, an NDA is only as good as your willingness to defend the NDA. If you know your boss is a multimillionaire who makes jokes that are funny to some, questionable, if you may, and has the money to go after you for $90,000 of the severance he paid to you plus punitive damages, and you don't necessarily have the funds to fight with him to hire a lawyer, what would possess you to do any of this? Makes it silly. I really don't understand. And it's to the larger question of we're in the era of social media where people just want to get on the screen and say whatever because it's fun to them. And I don't think there's no way it can be that fun that now you're having to figure out how to hire a lawyer because there's no way he wasn't going to see it. And maybe she thought like he didn't care, which he clearly cares. Now, in terms of, I'm going to scroll down and then we're going to come back. In terms of the actual NDA, it is included as an exhibit. If you looked on, I think it's the Hollywood Reporter, has the entire lawsuit embedded into an article there. I will go back and make sure to link it if you're interested in reading it. It's not particularly written in any type of fun way. But it is interesting to see somebody's NDA in terms of if you've ever worked any type of corporate job, you've signed an NDA to kind of see what's in one, what you should look out for, what you should redline. The first thing being, this is very Harpy Productions. This template agreement being old when she signed it and them not even bothering to update it is giving entertainment. I have so many agreements I signed when I worked in entertainment where I was like, HR could just update the document because now the document is messy and now it's bothering my spirit. Why are we crossing it out when y'all could have just fixed this? So this was signed in August 8th of 2017. And specifically in terms of what is listed as confidential information as defined under NDA is knowingly very broad. Usually the employer will draft it as broad as possible. That doesn't mean it's necessarily enforceable. And likely that is what whoever she asked legal advice told her, but they clearly did not tell her everything, in my opinion, enough to get her to realize that this is really not worth the risk. So specifically, matters concerning the business operations, business ideas, know-how, techniques, methodologies, business relationships of the protected parties. Business relationship is likely what she was talking about. So then you have business plans, software, marketing plans, financial information, letters, memoranda, contracts, all of the normal things. One of the interesting things here are the protected parties. This is very specific, I would say, to an entertainment NDA. So the protected parties are the owner of Heartbeat Production. So you have Kevin Hart, Leland, Pookie Wigington, or any other companies in which the owner or Mr. Wigington is affiliated, sometimes collectively referred to as the protected parties. And then any information disclosed or submitted orally in writing or any other medium to recipient by one of the protected parties. So very boilerplate. Every NDA will have but wait, what about if that information, something such as that you'd learn as somebody's personal assistant, their address. Well, everybody, unfortunately, because we don't have good enough privacy laws in the US, people know a lot of celebrities' addresses. Well, if somebody else knows, am I going to get in trouble for that? You won't, because that's publicly available information. So then you have the other information sections would say, okay, this is the carve out. So the carve out is recipient, who is the personal assistant, shall have no obligation under this agreement with respect to confidential information, which becomes publicly available without breach of this agreement by recipient, is rightfully received by recipient without obligations of confidentiality, or is developed by recipient without breach of this agreement. Sorry, it's been a while. Provided, however, such confidential information shall not be disclosed until 30 days after written notice of intent to disclose is given to owner along with the asserted grounds for disclosure, which I think is really interesting. So in terms of things that become publicly available, for example, he did an entire special stating, I am a man of little morals as well as a little man, and I have been running around on this woman the same way I ran around on the last one, and I'm sorry, but I'm not really that sorry because I'm about to make jokes. I'm about to make jokes about this. To then put in a clause like, hey, if you're going to talk about this, you need to write in writing that, hey, I'm going to disclose this 30 days later is kind of silly. He made it public himself. I don't exactly know that that part is enforceable in terms of I need to tell you that I'm going to disclose this public information that you made public. However, the other things that she did allegedly disclose, which are private on Tasha K's website, some of them may be confidential information. One of the interesting things in the entire complaint is the complaint does not nitpick about what is confidential or what is not. Because the complaint is trying to be very broad because some of it, since there is a defamation claim, an absolute defense against defamation is the truth. If the one thing she said was he cheats on his wife, well, that's the truth. You can't sue for defamation for that. That's silly. The extortion claim, however, I do think is a bit more interesting. So let's get into that. Ooh, where are we? Are we here? We're here. So this is the first cause of action, civil extortion against all defendants. So now this is against Tasha K and the personal assistant. Now, the way this is particularly set up doesn't particularly make sense, and I'll get into that in a second. So first, what the hell is extortion under the law? So extortion is the obtaining of property or other consideration, such as money, from another with his or her consent, or the obtaining of an official act of a public officer induced by a wrongful use of force or fear or under color of official right. For purposes of this chapter, consideration means anything of value, including sexual conduct as divided in subdivision B of section 311.3, or an image of an intimate body part as defined as subparagraph C or paragraph 4 or subdivision J of section 647. So B, the parts of picture, sexual nature, that doesn't apply here. Here we're talking about straight up money, with the allegation being in or around November 2023, an unidentified individual telephoned a Hart representative stating that the individual was affiliated with Tasha K and that Tasha K had conducted the interview with Shakes, that the interview included information of allegations that the Tasha K representative claimed would be damaging to Hart's reputation. The individual stated that Tasha K would publish the interview unless Hart paid a ransom of $250,000. Now, unless this person is completely boo-boo the fool, I highly doubt somebody got on the phone and stated, unless you give me a ransom of $250,000 as if we were in a James Bond movie, I'm going to publish this. They probably insinuated it, most likely. To prove extortion, you have to prove that a ransom happened, which is why the lawyer is using that very specific language. However, in terms of this, do you have a recording? Usually extortion, when people, so this is civil, there also is a criminal case for extortion if he wanted to prove that, if he had the recording. The recording is what does people in, because then it's like, oh, yeah, that's what you're doing. You can, one of the interesting things with US law specifically, because we have the paparazzi and because the paparazzi have wrongfully been given so much leeway in this country, you can take pictures of people and be like, well, child, I'm selling the pictures to pay for my student loans. Don't do that. I was just using an example. And you've seen that numerous times. That is not considered extortion, which is very interesting. So in terms of this, what they're trying to say is not only did Tasha K participate in extortion, but also did the assistant. I don't know why, to be honest, the assistant is included under this claim, because there's no evidence proffered here that the assistant colluded to do this. To show that Tasha K did it would be easy enough. So you could find, we got caller ID. We're in 2024. Caller ID, does this person work for you? Okay, there's no recording. How do we figure out like what exactly was said? Do we have any other supporting documents, etc.? Maybe. It's still a little bit of a flimsy claim. The intentional interference with contract is a better claim, as well as the breach of contract. Those are two stronger claims. This claim is interesting because they don't want everyone to claim that everything's extortion. Extortion is written in such a way to insist that, hey, you have to prove that this person is trying to wrongfully take something from you. All right. So as proof, alleged proffered evidence, the complaint then states, on or around November 17, 2023, Tasha K posted a teaser for the interview on YouTube. There is a video currently up, and that is from the past week. This November teaser that is listed here, either the link is bad or she took it down. However, the other video is still up. wherein she, along with Shakes, touted the supposedly salacious and damaging nature of the interview. The teaser video clearly was intended to a threat to Hart that the more detailed interview would be published if the ransom was not paid. And the use of ransom in this is such an interesting thing. The teaser included a statement from Tasha K at the 206 mark of the video, specifically warning that when you don't pay, we have to get money by any means necessary. Which, at this point, after we covered the Cardi B, the entire trial that she went through for defamation, I think another question needs to be asked as to why, if you are allegedly seeking bankruptcy court because you cannot pay the judgment you already have, what is the reason for continuing this pattern of behavior? Why? Why not just, child? I just hope she hires a different lawyer than the one last time, because the one last time, clearly that didn't work out very well. Okay, we're going to continue. So third cause of action, intentional interference with contractual relations. I think this particularly is a bit of a stronger cause of action in that you can show like, hey, you have verbally confirmed that she has an NDA. You have interfered with the NDA. You asked her to confirm this and y'all continue to have this conversation. So therefore, we can go after you for this. This makes more sense. I think just including this as well as the other breach of contract claim and then invasion of privacy. But again, how much privacy can you have when you are running around in the literal street doing foolery for what it's worth? So specifically during the interview, after the interview, Tasha K was further advised that the plaintiffs and Shakes were parties to the NDA, that the subject matter of the interview necessarily constituted confidential information as defined by the NDA, that the publication of the interview would constitute interference with the NDA. And specifically that occurred because it's been a while since we've done this. Which we'll go back in a second, because there was a cease and desist. And the cease and desist laid out to her what exactly she could or could not do. And the cease and desist listed an address, so you know how to remove that. Even though I do think it's an office. Unsurprisingly, as somebody who's from Miami and who's like Florida's full of foolery, it's a Florida address. So the first page of the cease and desist, very boilerplate, very much like you need to cease and desist from all activity, normal, standard, nothing exciting to see here. What I did think was interesting, though, on the second page of the cease and desist letter, the attorney said, you know what? I know I started in a very calm, boring manner with you, but let me get spicy with you so that way you understand in a way that only you can understand. We are aware of the fact that you have an established history of posting defamatory and otherwise improper content regarding celebrities and other high-profile individuals. For instance, most recently, you were found liable for civil damages exceeding $3 million in a defamation lawsuit by the musician Cardi B, Alamanzar v. Kebe, et al., USDC, and this is the whole citation. I won't read the citation to you. You and your accomplices, actions with respect to Mr. Hart are more of the same. In addition to being flatly criminal, as set forth above, your adjudicated history of such misconduct is further evidence of your intent in this case, leaving no doubt as to your liability here. She is also potentially pending a lawsuit by Jada Pinkett Smith because Tasha K decided to interview the long-term, more than 20 years friend of the Smiths, specifically Will Smith, in which he said all types of inflammatory things. And honestly, I think that one is just wild. That you could have a friend that's like, you know what? I'm tired of being behind the scenes. I'm going to get up on here on YouTube and say wild things to you. Jada did threaten after leaving a radio interview. I think the interview was on The Breakfast Club. I'm not sure. I cannot remember correctly. It was before either December or November that she was going to sue. To my knowledge, as of right now, I don't think she filed that paperwork yet. So we'll see if that happens. We are also aware that you have recently filed for bankruptcy protection. You should be advised that under Bankruptcy Code Section 523, debt incurred as a result of debtor's willful or malicious injury to a creditor, here Mr. Hart is not subject to discharge. You will thus not be able to evade any liability for monetary damages to Mr. Hart that you incur as a result of your misconduct described herein. This might be the best legal advice that she has received thus far, which is, Miss Mama, you are on the hook. It is litigated. It is tried for $3 million. Bankruptcy court does not let you just discharge everything, and you will have to continue to pay, which I think what we're beginning to see is what happens when people have no fear. They're like, well, I don't have the money, so what does it matter? I will continue to go about it. And one of the interesting things, I think the Tasha K and Cardi B lawsuit changed a bit the landscape of social media and how people go about, and some drama channels go about just saying malicious things because it gets clicks. This is going to change the way in which bankruptcy court garnishes wages. That's exactly what's going to happen. Because currently, the way it works is if I worked for Walmart and I was like, child, I'm just going to get up in here, do what I want to do, and I get, let's say, I don't want to bring that on myself. Let's say our friend, person B, work from Walmart. They get on the internet, they say whatever they want to say, and they get a lawsuit similar to Tasha K. Walmart will simply garner their wages. If your employer and who you're paid through, the majority of her money, assumably, is getting paid out through her website, it's not exactly the same. She's not going to garnish herself. She's her own boss. So I think it'll be interesting to get the bankruptcy court to catch up to modern times to see what exactly is going to happen, because actions have reactions and consequences, which is if this is not working, we are literally wasting taxpayer dollars. This is litigated in Superior Court of Los Angeles. Is taxpayer money just going around basically celebrities flailing their arms at somebody who is more than willing to know that they are wrong to go and have an entire trial? That trial should have never happened. That should have settled. She should have apologized. The fact that so much time, also civil trials, you're allowed to get a jury, which is crazy. This is a mess. Exactly. Not Tasha's legacy changing the American legal system. Listen, at this point, to Naya's point, especially if she keeps moving her assets around, I think she's figured out that, well, y'all court system is slow, and I'm going to continue to do foolery. Which is wild. That's a broader issue. And bankruptcy court is such a specialized court. It's technically a federal court, but it sits outside of federal court by itself as a specialized area of expertise. Bankruptcy lawyers work on nothing else. If you ever, unfortunately, are in a legal problem and you need to actually go consult a bankruptcy lawyer, please do not find one that says, I do personal injury, bankruptcy, divorce, etc. They're going to mess your stuff up. They're, unfortunately, because our system is predatory. To insert a little anti-capitalist rant, because our system is predatory, there are legitimate reasons why regular people are often forced into bankruptcy. Go to a lawyer that specializes in bankruptcy law. Anybody else is going to get you into a bigger problem while they line their pockets and do so. Hopefully, you will be nowhere next to that. So, all right, let's go backwards a bit. So with the NDA, one of the things I thought was very interesting, 3 years after the assistant signed the original NDA, which she signed that NDA in 2017, she left the Heartbeat Productions. Yep, Heartbeat Productions, Heartbeat Digital. In 2020, she signed a release, and in her mutual release and non-disclosure agreement, aka this is usually what severance agreements look like. So it says like, hey, I'm releasing all your claims, but also keep your mouth quiet. Don't say anything else. She received $90,000. And one of the things I was like, wow, this is a really good severance package. 3 years of health insurance. 3 years of health insurance in this economy, in this raggedy landscape, that is great severance. She waited, because this was signed in 2020. She waited 3 years after this and decided, like, well, my last payment came through, bring on the foolery, because she signed this in October 22nd of 2020, and she did the interview in November of 2023 for some interesting reason, likely assuming the timeline matches up after her last payment came through for her severance, because she was getting severance probably on her regular payment schedule, so bi-weekly, excellent severance, bi-weekly or maybe like monthly, the $30,000. And then she went and decided to do the interview, which is burning on her heart to do an interview, which if you worked for him in 2020, this is, again, what was the reason? What is the reason? I have more questions for the assistant than for Tasha K. Tasha K does this all the time, unfortunately. I thought maybe like, oh, you'll learn your lesson with Cardi B, fine. She's not going to. The assistant doing this, I'm like, why would you rope yourself into this? For what? All right, let us go through some of these comments. Because we went through cease and desist. Let me make sure we went through all the interesting claims. Don't want to bore y'all with claims we've always talked about. All right, yep. Okay, cool. So let's go through some of the comments. We quick today. Listen, I need to know. I need to know why in today's day and age you would ruin your good $90,000 of severance, but more importantly, 3 years of free health insurance. 3 years of free health insurance. Wild. Y'all are too kind, and that proves my point in my video that people were a little testy about. I did a video about her very interesting complexion because, again, we have been the same complexion my whole life, her and I. And of course, I would never compare myself to Beyonce, a beautiful, stunning, multi-talented, hyphenate woman, but the complexion is the same. So I was gonna put that out there. Which Joe said, "You look like Beyonce." Then me, myself, and I video, LOL, because we the same color, and I could never be the new color that she is without a certain thing. But y'all go ahead and watch that video. It's on YouTube. I mean, it's on YouTube. We're on YouTube. It's on Patreon. It's on Patreon on the history of bleaching, who it affects, and who we show kindness to. All right. So, Robin, this is actually interesting in light of Rudy Giuliani. Yes, I saw that he did that after he got his Dominion, the Dominion lawsuit came back and was like, so you gonna pay? Where's the money? Filing bankruptcy after being found liable in that case. Yep. Yes, it was Dominion and then the two election workers about harassing the two election workers in Georgia. Because the Dominion one, I think he like brushed off. He didn't get specific charges for that one. I mixed them up. So thank you for that. Yes, which the court awarding people monetary damages is when they have been harmed, particularly the two election workers that he continuously harassed over the course of over a year, lost their jobs. They lost multiple things. They deserve to be compensated, to be made whole for all that harassment. The court system needs to do a better job at ensuring that people actually do receive their money. Similar to Cardi B and Tasha K. Cardi B, if we're going back to that case that we covered a while ago, Tasha K made all these lies. She continued to run with them because it got her clicked. She did not care. Cardi B then had to go through an entire trial to simply be like, no, I wasn't doing those things. I'm not those things. Like, this lady is obsessed with me. But more than that, she does not care. If the court cannot actually protect victims and make them whole, which is what restitution is, we need some updates. We're going to need some updates. So I think we are going to see, ironically, a huge change to bankruptcy law. And bankruptcy law is not the most interesting thing. So I don't think it'll make headline news, but I'll keep my eye out on that. So I do think is kind of interesting as well. All right. Okay. You can discharge certain debts in bankruptcy court. One of the things that you can't, it might have changed recently, but for the longest time was student loans. The student loan service providers are like, never that. We are always going to get our money, which is wild. It's a level of wickedness. But certain things you technically can. It goes in list of creditors. If you're interested in bankruptcy law, a good case, which we never covered in that detail because I'd have to get a bankruptcy lawyer on here, to be honest, for it to actually be correct, that level of knowledge, because I ain't got it with bankruptcy law. But one of the interesting cases was from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Tom Girardi. That is an interesting bankruptcy case because you're seeing what creditors get what, who gets what, can any of it be discharged? Because they try to do foolishness in that same case. And you're seeing the trustee go in and appraise certain things in their house. So that is a great case to look at in terms of how bankruptcy court specifically functions. All right. Nacho trying to bring back the debtor's prison. I'm never gonna advocate for that, but we need a little consequences, because if not, people are just running amok. People are running amok on Al Gore's internet, and it's a little wild to see. All right. Okay. So let's go through some comments. If you just tuned in, we went through everything real quick today. This is a very quick case. For what it's worth, this will go away. One of the interesting things, to be honest, because her platform has changed, and I get into the root of it because the video was never public, it was private. It was getting you to see the teaser and then pay for it to go on her website. This lawsuit has inadvertently brought her much more publicity and attention to her website, because we were never going to know unless you're paying for it, which the monthly subscription, according to the complaint, is about $12 a month. Unless you're paying for it, you were never going to see the whole video. And because everybody knows that he is out here thotting and bopping, it wasn't a secret. So again, what was the reason? What was the reason to drum up this salacious level just to get yourself in a problem with somebody else who has the money and the time to go after you for it? So all right. Exactly. When you do clownery, the clown always bites back. All right. Well, on that note, if y'all have any suggestions, we're back. I did say I was gonna make some promises. I was like, I'm going to make some intentions, because I promise that comfort to a fool. So I won't make y'all a fool. We are going to have at least a weekly YouTube video on Wednesdays here, either a live stream or an edited video. So something will be on the channel once a week, so we can get back to YouTube. And then Patreon will continue to have. We've been like averaging about a weekly live stream. The last 2 weeks of December, we had 3 the week before last, and then the last week I was like, all right, let me go hang out with my grandma. So all right. Oh, y'all have suggestions now. Okay, let's see. Interesting. Okay. So everyone, how long did you study for the LSAT? Everyone asks these every once in a while, like law school. Child, I don't remember. I removed that from my mind. For context, I'm 32. I took the LSAT when I was 22. I remember being very stressed. That's all I remember. So shout out to y'all taking it now. You can do it. Deep breaths. Deep breaths. Thanks, Antonio, for the super chat. Listen, I stay in the gym. I stay in the gym. All right. Ooh, I don't know about that. That sounds awful. I'll glance and see. So, which might okay. All right. Oh, I didn't see this, Robin. Sorry. I had asked earlier, do other gossip companies like TMZ have these issues of lawsuits? Does their infrastructure lawyers' money handle it for them? TMZ gets sued frequently. However, one of the reason why like those never get covered, it's the Daily Mail that it's happening now, not TMZ. I think Harry, the colonizer, I refuse to call any of them prince, princess, queen. I refuse. Well, he stepped down. So maybe we'll get Harry, the former Lizzie's grandchild, adjacent, is suing the Daily Mail for their treatment of him and Meghan Markle. So now people are with means are going after these companies because these companies have essentially abused their power to have loopholes where it shouldn't apply to them. A little bit of what they are doing, actually, I'll take that back. A lot of what they're doing is huge invasions of privacy. However, in the UK, you have a lot more protections than in the US. In the US, there are no protections. It's very, very hard. Child, y'all know I don't like them people. That ain't changed in 2024. I don't like them people. And by them people, I mean the crown. That hopefully by the end of the year, people in England will realize, why do you need a monarchy to rule you? They're eating up your taxpayer money. And as I'll end this, because I need to say this more often, all the way up until 2010, I believe 2016, British taxpayer money was paying enslavers reparations. Where my money there? Where is my money? Because it would have come from England. And it will come from England. So Charles, please, and thank you. So on that note, I appreciate y'all. I'll catch y'all next week on Wednesday. And we'll see. Maybe we'll do a live stream. Maybe we'll have a video, but something will be there. So I'll catch y'all later. Also, if I'm not on here, I'm on Instagram like pretty regularly. I try to do an Instagram live stream as well. So catch you later. Bye.